Hello and welcome to this demonstration of the iIntro platform. Shortly I will share with you some of the features and benefits of the system for recruiters, employers and candidates. For each iIntro client we create a unique portal where recruiters will build client campaigns. It's also where clients log in to view their shortlists and where candidates build their personal profile to show their engagement and commitment to the opportunity. Our platform is an excellent way to demonstrate the value that you offer to employers and candidates. As you can see on screen, this is essentially where each user, whether they're a recruiter, an employer or a candidate, logs in. But before I share that login process with you, I just want to show you the customization that we do on your behalf by sharing with you a few examples of our clients' portals. As you can see, we customize these so that they are bespoke to your brand. And many of our clients also create a specific sub-brand that we work with to bring their platform to life and to give it that very unique feel that makes it very personal to them. As mentioned, all users access the platform to log in. So today I will be showing you what an employer who has engaged you on a retained basis would see. When they log in, they're going to enter their unique username and password. And the first screen that they see is their dashboard. In this example, we have both a campaign and a talent alert visible to the client. Talent alerts are used if we're promoting candidates speculatively, and the campaign is the assignment for which you've been retained. So let's take a look at that campaign. Once in the campaign, you will see some specific features. You'll see two logos, yours on the top left, followed by your client's further down the screen. Clients love to see their logo, and this shows your two brands working in partnership together. At the top, you've got the name of your client and the role that you're recruiting for, in this example, a sales director. The screen is split into three parts. On the right hand side, you have the candidate shortlist, and we'll return to them later. In the middle of the screen, you have the background and requirements. And this is the recruiter's understanding of what the employer is looking for in a candidate. This will be created right at the beginning of the process, so it's in black and white, and the employer can either say, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for, or perhaps, yes, that's almost right, but I also need you to factor in this or that. But once the background requirements is complete and the employer is happy with it, this will be the blueprint that the recruiter uses to locate and assess the candidates. And it's included here on the front page as a reminder of the parameters that were agreed. Now, before we begin looking at the candidates, let's take a look at the campaign documents over here underneath the client logo on the left-hand side. These documents, such as job specification, McQuaid behavioural assessments, progress reports, candidate briefing packs and key competency questions, refer back to discussions between the recruiter and the employer, and they're included here so they can be conveniently accessed whenever they're needed, 24/7. The reason we store these documents is to emphasise some of the key benefits of our process. We understand that most client recruitment processes are flawed or broken, and we seek to mitigate these flaws and improve the employer's recruitment process, which ultimately saves the employer time and money, which is why they will retain you and pay you the higher recruitment fees than a contingent success-only recruiter. Clients typically hire based on skills and experience, usually represented in the job specification that we have here. Job specifications, like this one, document the areas of responsibility, the skills, experience and qualifications necessary for employment according to the employer. This is often the only guidance the employer provides to the recruiter, so is it any wonder that recruiters often miss the mark, and is perhaps one of the reasons why contingent recruiters have a success rate of around 20%. However, when we challenge clients though, we often find that they lose employees not because of their skill set, but because of behavioural factors which manifest themselves in poor performance and or cultural fit. The iIntro process uses multiple layers of assessment and evaluation to reduce staff turnover, and one of the tools we use is called McQuaid, specifically the McQuaid Job Survey. The McQuaid Job Survey assesses the role before we even look for the candidate. Working with the employer on a short 5 to 10 minute online assessment gives us a rich overview of the behaviours that are important to success in the organisation. This is represented graphically as can be seen here on screen, identifying the behavioural traits that are important for this particular client in this particular role. And this now acts as a template for us to identify candidates that have both the skills and the correct behavioural traits to be successful. 96% of candidates placed using these tools are still in the role 12 months later, which compares very favourably with employers who often cite statistics of just 70% of new employees reaching their first anniversary. This demonstrates that your process will save the employer considerable time and money by hiring the right person first time and avoiding the cost of a mishire, which is estimated to be 3 times the salary according to both the CIPD and the REC in the UK. We know that transparency of process is important to employers. They often wonder what recruiters do to justify their fees. iIntro is a transparent digitised search process that shares with the employer exactly what you do and why you stand out from other recruiters. So, for example, we provide templates for recruiters to share key pieces of information that support the process. Documents like this progress report show what you have done and what you're doing to go out there and attract the best talent, and show what stage you've reached and who's been put forward, again showing a transparent process. Templates like these are made available to you for customization and branding. When working on behalf of an employer, you're acting as an extension of their brand, and it's important in the search for the best talent that you're able to attract and engage great candidates. To support the process, candidate briefing packs can play an important part. As you can see here, we have an information pack that is sent to all applicants. This shows the candidate that the employer and you, the recruiter, are serious about attracting the best talent. This helps engage them in the process. It's not a quick process, but when you've been retained, you want to be able to show the employer the work that you do that sets you apart from a contingent recruiter that's just slinging CVs in the hope that one sticks. You can garner this information from employer websites, from documentation provided, but when put together, it's a very impressive document that makes the candidate feel special. It also, as I've already stated, shows the employer that you're serious about helping them find the best talent, and talent's going to stay with that organisation for a long time. It's a great document and a great tool, and again emphasises the quality of your process to an employer and helps them understand why they should retain you. The final piece of evidence we gather to support the recruitment process is what we call the key competency questions. The key competencies is one of the most important aspects of iIntro because it gives the recruiter and the employer an excellent insight into the knowledge and experience of each candidate, and crucially, as we're going to see in a few moments, this is going to help compare the candidates directly. The questions that are chosen for the employer's campaign can either be chosen by the recruiter or the employer directly from our database of questions, or you can even create bespoke questions agreed with the employer to make it even more specific. Typically, each candidate will write around 1, 2, maybe 3 paragraphs answering each question. It's enough to give you some extra insight into the candidate's background, but not so much that you're swamped with information. Okay, let's take a closer look at the candidates. By clicking on each one in turn, you can view in-depth information on each candidate and learn more about their experience, their interests, their achievements, their abilities, and so on. Let's start with John Smith and work our way through what's available. We start with a photo, and then immediately below that is an introductory video. Let me play you a short clip.
Hello, my name is John Smith. Thank you very much for considering me for the role of Sales Director. It's an opportunity that I've reviewed with my consultant very closely. And
we ask each candidate to prepare a 2 to 3 minute video introduction that includes their background and what they feel they can bring to the role. We very deliberately give them as few guidelines as possible, and the result is that the employer gets a very natural video that can be quite insightful in terms of revealing the candidate's personality and even their confidence levels. Some people, as you might expect, aren't used to talking to a camera, whereas other people are very relaxed with the process. Some people just talk quietly to the camera, other people get really involved and prepare a short presentation. But whatever approach they take, the video presentation is a really good opportunity to learn something different about the candidate and helps the employer to start getting a feel for their personality. In addition to the introductory video, we have an alternative video called a pre-screen video. The pre-screen video interview is an option that we give to the clients in addition to the free-form video. This is where questions are set and posed to the candidates in a live situation. The responses are recorded once only and recorded as live. This gives the client a really thorough insight into the candidate and how they respond under pressure as if they were in a real interview process. Let's return back to the campaign. Moving down beneath the video, we have some campaign documents. And the first document is a candidate's CV, which will be familiar of course and should be a close match to the skills and experience requested in the job specification. Beneath the CV is the McQuaig Job Fit Interview Guide, which is the candidate's personal assessment results combined with the employer's job survey that we viewed earlier, with an easy to read interpretation. It's a detailed document, but I'll just highlight some of the key areas. First, scrolling down, we have an interviewer checklist, which is some guidance for the employer, with some hints and tips on how to structure a good interview to make it more meaningful. Then we come to the graphical summary. This is a representation with 3 charts, one from the employer on the left and 2 from the candidate's assessment, which are a snapshot of their personality and aptitude. So, for example, the red scale here shows whether the person is more dominant or accepting, or in other words, are they more competitive and goal-oriented, or are they more deliberate or cautious? You'll notice that none of these behavioural scales are about whether the person is intelligent or whether they're good at their job. It's more about their mindset and their working style, and what we find is that different profiles tend to lend themselves to different kinds of work. The profile for a good salesperson, for instance, often looks quite different to that of an effective manager, and different again to an engineer. There's lots of explanation in this report about what the particular profile indicates, and we can directly compare this person's real profile to the employer's requirements. What we have in this instance, on the left-hand side is the average benchmark profile for the employer, and on the right-hand side is the profile of the candidate. What this means is that if a candidate has a profile that's similar to the chart on the left, then in terms of aptitude and behaviour, this person could be a good fit. Of course, you still have to factor in knowledge and experience, but this report is giving you information that you cannot obtain simply by reading someone's CV or even by interviewing them. What we like to say is that most people tend to hire on skills and experience, but fire on behaviours. So rather than waiting until the employers hire that person to find out what their behaviour is like, this report gives the employer this information up front so that they can make an informed hiring decision. And in this instance, the profile is very close, and the system describes John as being a strong match. There's a lot more information in this report, and if the employer decides to interview a candidate, then it's well worth advising the employer to read this report through carefully in advance, not least of which because the report also provides the employer with some suggested questions and subjects to discuss at the interview based on what they're looking for and what this report has revealed about the individual. Coming back to the candidate's profile and into the documents, we also have some key facts, which we ask the candidates to provide. Again, we avoid giving too much guidance here, so the candidate feels free to enter the information that they feel is most relevant or to share the achievements of which they're most proud. References, if also available at this stage, will either be a contact or a downloaded letter of reference, and again are stored in the candidate's profile. And then we have the key competency responses, and this is their reply to the questions that we set up at the beginning. You can see that each reply is relatively detailed, but this commits the candidate to expanding on what's on their CV. You'll know from experience that CVs can often be little more than a list of job positions and key achievements, whereas the key competencies allows the employer to gain some real comprehension of what the candidate is about and the specifics on what they've achieved. Moving on to the benchmark graph, this is another key area of our intro, because this compares all of the candidates against each other based on the key competencies that were selected at the beginning of the campaign and also the candidates' current or expected salaries. The candidates have been ordered with the highest salary on the left going over to the lowest salary on the right. This line shows the salary. The bar graph is based on the score that the recruiter has given to each candidate based on their CV, their responses to the key competency questions, and also the McQuaig results, and also maybe telephone or face-to-face interviews with the candidate. Yes, it's subjective, but it allows the employer to see very easily what the recruiter's view is of each candidate. If the employer doesn't have time to interview every candidate, then this graph can be very helpful, enabling them to decide, based on the recruiter's opinion, which may be 2 or 3 candidates they want to see. Moving back to the candidate profile, in the centre you have the executive profile. The executive profile is a short profile or summary prepared by the recruiter that provides their personal view on why this candidate has made the shortlist and what their strengths are. The recruiter will provide all of this information for each of the candidates on the shortlist, and all the employer has to do is click on each picture to view their details, and by the time they've viewed all of the information, they'll have a very thorough understanding of each candidate and their relative strengths and the reasons why they've made the shortlist. There are just a few other features to tell you about. If we scroll down to the bottom of each candidate, then you'll see a Download All Documents button. This button, unsurprisingly, downloads all of that candidate's data. This is useful if the employer wants to store the information locally or perhaps print some of the documents out ahead of an interview. Add to shortlist is a function that puts a star next to the candidate, so that if the employer is just picking out 2 or 3 people to interview, they can keep track of who they've decided to see. Request interview and make an offer sends an email to the recruiter with that respective message. This simply prompts the recruiter to contact the employer to arrange the details. Last but not least, there's a commenting feature on each candidate page. Employers can post a comment here and it'll stay attached to that candidate's page for others to view that have access to this campaign, including the recruiter. Imagine how different your pitch meetings in the future could be now that you can deliver a similar presentation to your potential clients that is perhaps more focused on reducing the employer's management downtime by no longer interviewing substandard candidates, no matter how strong their CV may be. Improving their new employee retention rates with your own 96% success rates, so much better than their 20 to 30% new employee attrition rates. Reducing the employer's overall cost of hiring by saving them the cost of mishiring that they are currently experiencing today. Working together with iIntro, the platform will help you win more retained business. It will help you increase your average fees. It will help differentiate your business from your competitors, and it will make your firm more attractive to new employees. This completes the iIntro demonstration video.